everyone, thank you so much for joining me back here on my channel. You're with the Gypsy Caravan. That's me. I'm going to be showing you how to get flawless or perfected looking skin. I don't want to call this baking, even though that's kind of what I'm going to be doing as well. And the reason why I don't want to call this like how do you bake or how do you bake the skin kind of thing is because that was a trend that happened very many years ago, and even though some people do still kind of do that today, it's not really like the in thing at the moment. It was a big trend way back when, so I don't want to call it that, but I will be showing you how to do that because that's how you get flawless foundation, flawless looking skin. If you are keen to learn how to get like really flawless, perfected looking skin, then let's just head straight into the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So yes, let's do the face. Okay, cool. I'm in my lounge today because I felt like I just needed different backgrounds and things. So we're in my lounge today. So cozy. Okay, I've already got my eyes on. I haven't done anything to my brows. I haven't done anything to my skin other than like my normal skincare and moisturizers and things. So we are going to just prime our face quickly. So the first primer or product I'm going to go in with is the Fix Plus in the Cherry Blossom scent. I'm just going to use this to prep my skin, and I feel like I really kind of can't do makeup without this product, so I'm going to use it. For some reason this didn't smell that bad today. Are you changing on me? Why? Okay, so then my choice of primer is the L'Oreal Magic Lumi, purely just because I'm the kind of person who really likes a dewy sort of skin, something that looks very skin-like. I'm not about that full coverage life. So the closer my makeup looks to my skin, the happier I am. So that's why I'm going in with this. It just gives the skin a really nice glow from within look. So that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, so I'm just going to apply it with a 130 duo fiber brush. I'm just doing like a little bit. You don't want to use too much of this because then you look like the Tin Man. Unless that's kind of what you want to look like. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to buff this in. So I'm going to mix my face and body in C3 and my Photo Ready Candid Glow foundation from Revlon, the glowy one, in 120. So this is lighter than this, but when you mix it together, heaven. I'm going to be applying that with a damp Real Technique sponge. I got a little aggressive cleaning it the one time and it's now broke, but still works. Like I said, I don't like full coverage at all, but this foundation does provide, let me just block out my name. This foundation does provide some coverage if you work it in correctly. So I'm going to be applying it with a sponge, which also builds coverage, but if you don't want that much coverage, just buff it in with a brush. Just giving you the lowdown. But this is my favorite foundation. It's from MAC. So I'm just going to do a lot. And then we're just going to do one pump kind of the glow, because this does give the skin glow. I'm just going to mix this in with my nail on the sponge because, you know, I couldn't find anything to mix it with. So this is a damp sponge. It's not wet. So normally what I do is I just run it underneath the tap for a few seconds. I squeeze it out manually, like closing my fist around it like this. And then I'll just grab like some kitchen towel, like the paper towel, or just take like my hand towel that's in my bathroom and squeeze the crap out of it in there so that it's damp but not dripping wet. And basically with a damp beauty blender or a damp Real Technique sponge or whatever sponge you're using, it's going to push and press the product into your skin, which gives it a more skin-like finish. It gives you a more natural finish. Because I know some brushes, they do leave streak marks no matter how much you blend it out. But with this, you are literally just pushing it into the skin. And with the sponge being damp, it gives your product a more dewy finish, which makes it in turn more natural. I do prefer sponges if I am looking for some coverage, because like I said, it does really push the product into the skin. And I mean, like you can see, I did like a squirty of each of my foundations, and I've literally done my whole face. It's not a super thick layer, but because my skin's not that bad, I mean, I have been breaking out recently, but because my skin's not that bad, I honestly don't need that much. And I think that's when sometimes some people just get a little bit like confused, like they think foundation is supposed to cover you up wholly and solely, that it's not, you like don't look like yourself anymore, and that your skin doesn't look like your skin. If you are those people, that's fine. You do your makeup the way you want to do. But foundation is really just there to like even out the skin tone and just give your skin a better looking appearance than what it is, you know, just elevating your natural skin tone and your natural skin's texture. And unless you have like super acneic, really bad skin and it makes you feel insecure, then by all means cover that up. But I really like it when skin just looks a little bit better, not like plastered on. So while my foundation is setting, I'm just going to quickly go in and do my brows because I didn't do it. I'm just going to brush them up because my eyes are pretty intense today. Hello, do you like? Thanks. So I'm just going to go in with the MAC Eyebrows Big Boost Fiber Gel. And I use the shade Fling, and I am literally just going to brush up my brows. This is my natural brow shape, by the way. I have my daddy's brows. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's talk concealer. If you are doing something super natural that day, you're not doing like a full coverage, like very glam look, and you want to keep your face natural, the best thing to do is to use a concealer shade that is your skin color or one shade lighter. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you just want to do like a quick kind of fix up my skin sort of situation, you don't want to use something that's too light and just bring like imbalance to the face. However, on the other hand, if you do want to do something that's more glamorous, more full coverage, you're going out, you want to bake and like get that highlight and contour on fleek, then you can go in with a concealer that's 2 shades lighter, which is not what I'm going to be doing today, because I mean, this is so natural. I'm gonna, you know, go grocery shopping with this. But my favorite concealer is the Studio Fix Smooth Wear Concealer, the 24-hour one. I'm in the shade NW24, which technically is 1 shade lighter than my natural skin color, but it does oxidize. So it does kind of end up being the same color as my skin in any case after a couple of minutes. This is a medium to full coverage concealer. It is kind of hydrating, but this concealer doesn't crease on me. So obviously you just need to find a concealer that works best for like your under eye, your skin type, the kind of coverage you want. Although almost all the time I would recommend that if concealer is going underneath your eye, it needs to be a liquid, because creams will almost definitely crease, and creams are very, very thick. So I would rather reserve that for like any scarring or pigmentation or breakouts that you have, and keep your liquids for underneath your eyes. Cool, we understand. Okay, let's highlight the face. So what I am going to do with my applicator, I'm just going to put a little bit here in my inner corners, because my inner corners are quite dark and I have these like really bad like bag lines. I just want to lift that so that it's not noticeable. I'm also going to do a little bit of an eye lift right here. I'm going to do a little bit of my nose because I have redness there, so I want to take that down. I have a blemish there, and then like Orion's belt right there. and then just underneath the eyes here. Cool. And take that down a little bit more. So if you want, you can do like that triangle if you want like a really highlighted, super like face lifted situation. I forgot to do that side as well. But I just want to lift my face in certain areas and just highlight certain things. Then you can go in with a brush if you want. I prefer keeping in with my damp beauty blender or beauty sponge. Brushes are fine. There's nothing wrong with a brush. I just feel like lately for me it just doesn't blend anything in. I go through these awkward stages where like I'll continue using a sponge and then I feel like it just doesn't work for me anymore, and then I'll go in with a brush because I feel like that's working for me better. So it's a love-hate relationship. But for today I'm going to be using the sponge. I'm going to be using the pointy end, and I'm just going to push this concealer into my skin. So now, super important, you want to pounce this concealer in and not drag. The minute you drag is when you begin to lift your product and pick up product that is not meant to be picked up. So make sure to always like just take your time pushing this product in, and with the sponge being damp, it's going to give your concealer a much more natural finish as well, because you are pushing this product into your skin. So there's less chance of it creasing, there's less chance of it looking super cakey and super heavy for your face. It's just going to give you a much more natural finish overall. Another great thing about using your beauty sponge slightly damp is that, let's say for example you got a little bit heavy handed with your foundation or concealer, the sponge is going to work in your favor to pick up any excess product that you may have accidentally put down. So if you went in a little hard with your concealer or foundation or whatever it is, this is just going to shear it out and pick up any excess, so that you don't get like cakey, crepey product sitting in like your fine lines or anything like that. Just gonna go over everything one more time. So before we move on to kind of baking, I'm just gonna set my face with my Studio Fix Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette. I'm using the light and medium one, and I'm just going to mix some Emphasize and Cream together. These are the highlighting, color correcting shades, and then these are your contours and bronzing powders. So already I can feel some are asking, what is the difference between setting your under eye and like baking? Because there is a difference. I'm going to take my 129. So if you are setting your under eye, you are literally just setting like your concealers and things in place. You are doing exactly that. You are just setting this area, be it with a translucent powder, a highlighting powder like I'm using, or a face powder, whatever powder you like using. You are literally just setting this area so that it doesn't move and doesn't crease. Baking, on the other hand, is a different technique all on its own, and as I'm showing you how to bake, I will explain what it is. But right now I'm just setting this. So with Emphasize and Cream, when I mix it together, it kind of comes off as my skin tone exactly, but it adds a little bit of a highlighted effect because Emphasize does have a very slight sheen in the powder. So I'm just kind of going over all the areas where I placed that concealer just to set it in place. Perfect. So let's get to baking. You can use whatever powder you want, so long as it's loose powder. Pressed powder is not going to give you the same effect because the powder is very pressed and condensed and there's little to no wiggle room. So number one, first off, what you need to consider is that you need to have a loose powder. So I'm going to go in with my translucent powder from MAC. You can use any translucent powder you want. You can even use a loose face powder that's in your skin tone if you want to. I find though that the translucent powders does give a little bit more of a lifted, highlighted effect. I know that sounds extremely weird, but for me it does. This is my 196 brush from MAC. In actual fact, I think I am going to use this just because I want to see what happens. Okay, so with your translucent powder and your brush, you're going to pick up quite a generous amount. I mean, like a lot. You need to pick up like a lot of powder for this to work. So I'm just going to stamp my brush in and just tap off a little bit of the excess. Okay, you need to get a lot. And I am just going to stamp this in my under eye area. Go slow, don't just whack it on. Like, be conscious in stamping your powder in your face. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna go right underneath my eye here and just down the side of my nose a little. Okay, so now that we are doing this, let me explain what baking is. You can obviously build up as much as you want. I don't want a heavy bake today. I just want something natural. So the term baking, or the technique or method of baking rather, is something that the beauty world or the makeup community kind of stole from drag queens. Yep, drag queens do this with their makeup. And basically all baking or cooking your makeup is that when you set your face or concealer with this amount of powder, what's going to happen is your body temperature, which should be like 36, 37, that's like a normal average human being's body temperature, is going to warm up your concealer, your foundation, any products you have on underneath the powder. So the powder is essentially going to prevent your skin from feeling breathable. So it's basically going to block up your skin so that the skin cannot breathe. And what happens is that when your body temperature mixes with your foundations and your concealers underneath that powder, it's going to start baking your products. And basically what this means is it's going to make your products indestructible on your face. So you can sweat, you can dance. I wouldn't suggest getting caught in the rain, but basically it's just going to give your skin the most longevity in its wear. Because obviously, of course, when a drag queen performs, they're under like heavy stage lights and it gets hot, and they can't afford to have their makeup melting on their skin and like melting off and stuff. So this is what they do to make an indestructible face. I'm gonna have a little bit of a tea break and we'll come back to brush this powder down. Okay, so the powder has been sitting on my face for a few minutes now. I'd say about 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with my 129 and I'm just going to brush away the excess and just kind of blend in the powder into my skin. So now that we have kind of baked the face, let's go in with some contour for contouring. I'm just going to go back in with this palette because that's what it is. I'm going to just touch up underneath my eye again with some of that emphasize. Just because me personally, I don't like looking flat. So I just want to bring a little bit of light back. To explain contouring and bronzing, just very quickly, I'm not going to go into like super detail because I want to do a video on that as well. Contouring is when you shape your bone structure and give your face like angles. Bronzing is literally just there to warm up your skin, to give it the sort of effect that you've been out in the sun and you've tanned a little bit, and and that you just have some like really pretty color to the skin. But if you want to like shape and create angles in the face, that's contouring. So I'm going to start off with the center shade here. This is called Sculpt. I'm going to take that on a 109 contouring brush from MAC. And I'm going to use this powder to sculpt out my face. Of course, again, you can use creams or liquids or concealers or face powders or contouring powders or bronzing powders. You can use whatever product you want. It's the technique of contouring and bronzing that define what you're doing to your face. I have an in-depth video coming up on this, so we'll wait for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, here is where my contour normally goes. I'm just going to start right at the back here and just bring this down. Rule of thumb, your contour should end at the end of your eye, so it should be like there. And you want to blend this upwards. If you blend this too far down, to where it isn't really like a definite line, it's going to make your face look very muddy. So you want to keep it like quite concise in this sort of shape and then blend upwards. Because technically what you want to do is you want to create a shadow. And just have this area like recede, so that when you do add like a highlighter or a lighter powder to your skin, it gives the illusion that your face has these really amazing angles and that you have these really high cheekbones. Like, everything with makeup is just an illusion. So I literally do like the most product right here, and I keep it like super dark here, and then I'll use the brush or whatever's left of the brush to just soften that out. Okay, next up is my forehead. I don't have a super large forehead, thank goodness. But just to tie everything in, I'm just going to shade a little bit up here in my hairline, just because my forehead is very rounded. I want to create a little bit of a, like I said, a more angled look. So I'm just putting my hairline taut, and I'm just working in circular motions and just shading down my forehead slightly. I'm going to stop just at above the arch of my brow. I don't go super dark with my forehead contour, because if it does get super dark, it looks very strange. Cool. And then because I don't have a definite jaw, I have a definite double chin. But because I don't have like a prominent jaw shape, I normally just contour a little bit underneath my jaw as well. It's literally just creating a shadow, so that when I like look in, like look straight at someone, all of this kind of looks shadowed out. So it looks like I have a jawline. So I normally tilt my head up and lock my jaw like this. I can't believe I just said that, but basically that is what I'm doing. I'm going to take the brush, if I weren't wearing earrings, like underneath my ear, and just trace along my jaw. I don't pick up a lot, because again, if you pick up too much around your jaw area and don't blend it out correctly, it kind of looks muddy and it kind of looks dirty and looks like you haven't washed behind your ears. You also kind of want to get that double chin. See, my double chin's not gone. It's like the cheapest liposuction you're ever gonna get, contouring. Get it. What's the problem with like having a face that goes down? Must be a Dutch thing. Ooh, sculpt and define. So you can really see that this side looks much thinner, much more pulled in, much more angled, and that is contouring, everyone. Nose contour. I was never one for nose contour because I always felt like it looked super weird on some people, and also because my nose, I broke my nose, and healed skew. I have ever since had to compensate for my nose. I mean, it never really bothered me, but I mean, I know it's skew. To contour your nose, you're going to need a much smaller brush and patience. So I'm gonna take a JH40 brush and that same sculpt color from the palette, and I'm literally just going to draw a line straight down and take it up into my brow like that. Do that again, because essentially your nose and your brow is supposed to like be in line, if you didn't know that. And it would be best if you use like a cooler contour to do this, because if you use something warm like I did stupidly, it looks kind of dirty and like you've had your nose in places it shouldn't be. Whatever, because whatever mistake you make, you can totally fix it with highlighter. That's my philosophy. Okay, so just, it's a very like pointy, tapered, fluffy brush. All I'm going to do is I'm going to work that product that I applied down. Like I'm just going to bring it, try and keep it away from the center, but like circle it down the sides of my nose. And just pray that it softens out. Which it hasn't. We're just going to move along and come back and fix this later. How about that? Today's blush, I'm going to be going in with Warm Soul. It's a mineralized blush from MAC. So I'm just going to go in with something that's very pretty, super natural, great for a lot of skin tones. And I'm going to be applying it with my Smashbox brush. This is indeed a buildable cheek brush, but I wouldn't circle it. I would push it into the apples of my cheeks and then take it back into my contour or my bronzer, whatever I've used that day. And it is a very soft kind of blush. It's a warm pinky peach. So for like darker girls, this would make for a really nice, pretty natural highlight. For us pale ass girls, it's a really nice warm blush. If you want to kind of use this for bronzing, you can. It's really pretty. Yeah, it's not showing up, but it's there. It's there. I'll take a photo and then you can see it. Always try and push your blush in. It will last longer. And then whatever's left on your brush, you can use that just to blend it in and soften it. But always, and start off slow. Don't like dig your brush and then just think, oh, I'm blushing. No, it's a buildable product. Build it up. Okay, so this side you can kind of see it. This side maybe not. Maybe it's my selfie light. It's too bright. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so for highlighter today, I'm going in with my Hyperreal Glow palette. This is the Flash and All one. I'm gonna do kind of like a 3D highlight effect. Sounds stupid? Keep up with me. I'm gonna first start off with this gold one, which is obviously the darker shade in the palette, as you can see. I'm gonna pick up my Smashbox brush. And what I'm gonna do with this is, ooh, that went everywhere. I'm going to sweep this over my contour and my blush. So I'm literally just going to cover what I did. I know that sounds stupid, but because it's a highlighter, it won't cover it totally, but just hear me out. And I'm only doing this on my cheeks, by the way, just so you know. So I'm just gonna take it all up over this area. And what it's gonna do is it's just gonna give my bronzer like a cool, glowy effect. I'm going to move on to a smaller brush. This is my 402 setting brush from Real Techniques. I'm going to go in with the center shade, which is kind of like a frosted rose gold pink. And with this small brush, I'm going to highlight with this. So this is going to go right up on my cheekbone. I'm also going to buff a little bit of this into my brow bone there. And this is just going on the very top of my cheek. This is what I'm going to use to fix my nose contour. Take that down the center. See already? Look at that. It's been fixed. Tip of the nose, Cupid's bow, of course. Yes. We're going to go in with the first shade, which is kind of like a very frosty white pink. It looks almost white, but it has like that pink sort of undertone. And with this, keeping it with the same brush, we're going to place this super strategically on our face. So it's like literally only just tapping it in that area there. Right here, just underneath. And nowhere else. Because this is the super high point of my face. Like this is the very top of my cheekbone. So when the light hits that, it's like bam. And then you have like this really nice ombre fade of highlights, you know. So highlighting, for the kids out there who don't know, is when you want to make certain areas of your bone structure or your face more prominent. These are the things that you want the world to see. So if you've got super high cheekbones, highlight that. If you have a really skinny nose, highlight that. Like anything that you bring light to is what's going to show up first and it's going to protrude first. Anything that you want to recede, like your jowls, your fat jowls, your double-sided chin, anything that you want to structure out in your face, you use a darker shade, which is your contouring. You can of course highlight your face and contour your face with matte products. So like highlighting with a matte product would be a lighter foundation or a lighter concealer or anything that looks like your skin, but it's a more snatched version. So it doesn't contain anything shimmery or metallic like this. It's literally just a flat base with no shimmer, but it's much lighter in color. So it still gives the effect that your face has been structured, but it's nothing shiny. So it kind of actually resembles or creates the illusion that that is your face shape. And that's how you catfish people. Okay, so that is it for today. I hope you kind of learned something. I know it wasn't like super in depth. I probably should have done, I could have done a better job maybe. But I mean, it's the gist. It's not something I do on the regular. And it's not like super trending at the moment. Like people will still bake their face, but it's not like the in thing at the moment. But it is a great way to create a more flawless, structured look on your face in your makeup. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's tutorial, let me know down in the comments below. Cool, great, that is all. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next tutorial.